see him shake?
Yeah, I
So
came down and he was kind of.
he was not there.
And his eye was already going.
I was there. He couldn't see anything. He was shaking. They were a little bit fast when telling him, "Oh, just stand up, just let's go." I was like, "Shit, guys, let's check the leg first." I didn't even have time to put on gloves. I had like my hands full of blood. It was just no, it was actually I didn't even have time for gloves. I was like more worried about the neck than just the blood.
Come on, boys. Come on, Chris. Come on,
So as the players re-enter the pitch, and we look up the scoreboard, seeing Luxembourg 6, Sweden 24. Sweden will simply look to maintain this advantage and play out the rest of the game as much as they can with Luxembourg in deficit. Luxembourg seem to have come out buoyed from their half-time discussions. Sweden have made substitution. Luxembourg seem eager, they seem buoyant. They seem to believe that, albeit underdogs, albeit a man down to a red card, albeit 18 points down in this game, they still have 40 minutes to turn this around. They still have 40 minutes to put errors right and make this game look something more competitive. But it's Sweden who have the ball inside the Luxembourg half, just inside the halfway line. Sweden secure the ruck, ball played into hands, looking to play crash ball, going into contact, looking to wear the Luxembourg defence down already. Luxembourg get a handy charge down that play there, and it's in the hands of the scrum half, who bursts into the Sweden 22 on the left wing. Luxembourg have control of the ball, they'll need some numbers there, and yet they won't want to overcommit. They'll still want to have players out wide. And the ball is played out to the wing here on the right wing. There's not many options, so the right winger uses his strength there to control the ball, and Luxembourg do have to put more men into the ruck now. So the buoyant attitude of the Luxembourg players here paying off for them at this moment. It's Sweden's turn to solidly defend. And Luxembourg will keep the ball in hand. They're not kicking for territory here. They're not looking to give Sweden possession of the ball. And they're looking to control the game. But now they kick high into the air, down the right wing. Sweden look together and they call the mark just as the Luxembourg forwards, two Luxembourg forwards were defending on the Sweden player there. So it will be a dropout, and the ball lands just behind me. So as I receive a few heckles there because the ball came my way, Luxembourg take a short line out and they keep the ball in. Clever little offloading, close quarters by Luxembourg, and a quick nip through by Fintan Lawler, who looks to gather. He doesn't gather, but Luxembourg do gather, and they go over the line, and Luxembourg have come out buoyant in this second half. They're not sitting back on their haunches. The Red Lions of Luxembourg looking to show themselves, show the spirit that they have within this young team. And they put the first point on the board. Fintan Lawler, creativity in the centre of midfield there, just dinking the ball over the top into the Sweden 22, and now he'll look for the conversion directly in front of the posts, and we have game on. 2 more points for Luxembourg. Luxembourg 13, Sweden 24, and now we have a game. The Luxembourg crowd are buoyant here. They sense that they're not out of this game, both crowd and players. And this is what we want. Sweden themselves are now being asked a question. And they'll have to answer these questions, otherwise this Luxembourg side will come at them incessantly. And Luxembourg gather the restart into their own 22. And up into the air again. Luxembourg had some success from their kicks. And this time Sweden not allowed to call the mark. The ball's not in their own 22, but there is a bit of an overlap here. Luxembourg winger looks to keep the player into touch, but Sweden, forward pass maybe. Matthew Dennis Soto, the Luxembourg prop, trying to dictate to the referee maybe that the scrum should have been a little bit forward, albeit 5 metres, and then gives a knowing smile, but that was never going to happen. So, the Swedish players just seem very cool and collected. Still content with their lead, which has now been reduced to 11 points. Luxembourg looking to be inventive, looking to be dynamic, looking to be quick through the hands, looking to probe with the high kicks. Nobody really chasing this time around. But the ball is in the Sweden half. Sweden look to go into contact, bringing the ball down. Luxembourg have been a little bit off in the contact. And another charge down by Luxembourg, and they gather the ball. The charge down, the Luxembourg player that charged it down tried to jackal over, but Sweden just get the ball back into their own 22 and clear it up towards the halfway line, into touch. Luxembourg seeing a lot of possession now in this second half. Well, the reduction of the Luxembourg team to 14 men has undoubtedly had an impact in this game. Sweden have managed to find the overlaps which have enabled them to gather their 24 points. Nevertheless, Luxembourg are sticking to their game plan. The heads are not gone down. And as they've proved in this second half, being the only team to put points on the board, they should have optimism that they can add further, but tiredness will tell. 14 players on the pitch will get tired. But they play it out, Luxembourg, and they play it out to the wing, and it's gathered, and it's kicked forward by the right winger, and the ball goes into touch, just into the try area, not into touch, into the try area. And Sweden touchdown, so they'll drop out from their own try line here. quick, clever, inventive play by Luxembourg. And the drop ball from the Luxembourg forward there, as he was trying to gather from the Sweden dropout, shows a little bit of frustration and disappointment on the Luxembourg's players' faces, knowing that they are forcing Sweden back into their own 22, and they wanted to keep the possession there and run it back towards them. And now we're inside the Sweden half. Sweden put in at the scrum. And we appear to have a game on our hands. Luxembourg bench preparing a substitution. It looks like a second row replacement. As the ball is in the scrum, Sweden scrum half will play the ball out to his forwards, ball to hand, going out towards the right wing. Luxembourg will be careful not to overload their defence centrally, otherwise they're going to always have that overlap, Sweden. Sweden carrying the ball into the Luxembourg half, always seemingly to have a player extra, which would make sense. But we really do have a game here. Luxembourg looking not downhearted in the position that they find themselves, looking to gather the ball. But the little errors are sneaking in every time that are just preventing them from maintaining that possession. This time a knock-on on the edge of their own 22. It's just not helping Luxembourg's cause right now. Sweden are benefiting from this. And as the Luxembourg substitute enters the pitch, he decides to slips and decides to do a little cartwheel, which is fun for the crowd. So the Luxembourg substitution confirmed, and this is an area of the game where we may see changes to the dynamic of the game as teams use their bench. Luxembourg will need to use their bench, while Sweden, with their man advantage, will look to tire the Luxembourg team now, and they do seem to have this overlap each time they come round, and they're looking to create that overlap. Stretch the Luxembourg defence. And there's a gap there, and the Sweden player charges through towards the goal line, very central. Ball was gathered by the Luxembourg scrum half. The referee calls back play to what appears to be an earlier infringement. His hand out signals that Sweden will have possession at this scrum. Luxembourg penalised again at the scrum. Sweden look to overlap here once again, but they appear to knock forward in contact with the Luxembourg defender, and this is jubilant from the Luxembourg players, high-fiving each other. Luxembourg looking to win the small battles here. Looking to try to get into the heads of the Sweden players. With possession now, Luxembourg. They might just be able to do that. Still within their own 22, Luxembourg. Sweden will look to keep them there. The back three of Sweden readily anticipating a kick from Luxembourg to improve their territorial position. But Luxembourg played centrally through the hands of their fullback. And this time it looks as if it will be a kick high into the air. Not much distance on it, but it does go up towards the halfway line. It's juggled by the Sweden player there. Luxembourg look to jackal over. Hands on the ball there by Matthew Denisotto. Referee says nothing doing. And the Sweden number 8 barges through midfield. Luxembourg defence starting to look a little bit tired. The front five of Luxembourg. Sweden gather on the right wing. There appears to be no overlap there, but Sweden will need to swing this ball around if they want to take advantage of that. But at the moment they're not. They're playing it through the midfield here. They don't appear to have too much of an overlap, but that's due to the Luxembourg defence quickly shuffling across and channeling defenders to cover. But Sweden offloading game, passing it through, and they're in a 3-on-1. But he goes the wrong side. He looks to pass right. He had two players to his left. Luxembourg defence. If the Sweden player there had gone left, he had two players to offload to, and it looked a certain try-scoring opportunity. Nevertheless, they have possession of the ball. They're out on the right wing. They'll look to probe again. They'll look to wear this tiring Luxembourg defence down. But Luxembourg gain possession back. And they'll look to secure the ruck here. But the tiredness will need to be a deep kick into touch to allow the players to stroll up to the line out. Tired legs, no chasing of kick balls here as we enter the 55th minute of this game. So, Luxembourg, possession at the line out, look to gather the ball. They lose the ball forward. They won the ball, but they lose the ball forward. The referee will be playing advantage here. Sweden play the ball through hands, and they themselves knock on. And I don't think an advantage had been played in the first instance, so maybe it wasn't seen or called a knock on by the referee for Luxembourg. But he's called it now for Sweden, who decide to replace two of their forward players to bring fresh legs on here. Luxembourg surely ready to do the same. So, centrally on the halfway line, Luxembourg put in at the scrum. Sweden looking to exert some pressure on that scrum with the fresh legs. Luxembourg looking to be inventive with their backs, and they go out on the right wing and the ball goes into touch. It was a good tackle by the Sweden left winger there. Seems to have picked up a knock as he did so. So it will be a line out here, just on the edge of the Sweden 22. Possession to Sweden. So after the early dynamic start by Luxembourg, Sweden then mounted a relative pressure of their own on the Luxembourg 22. And now we have territory in Luxembourg's favour, possession in Sweden's favour. Sweden gather the ball a little bit unclearly from the line out. Nevertheless, they have possession. The Luxembourg scrum half tried to tackle the Sweden forward. It's a knock-on. The referee notes advantage of the knock-on. It was a little bit too messy. There seemed to be a little bit of afters between some of the players. I didn't really take note. I was following the ball. So the referee will call in the Luxembourg scrum half. Give him a nice smile. Tell him just to cut down on the silly business and ask him to put the ball in at a scrum. And Luxembourg here will bring on 2 replacements. Noe Tropiani goes into the back row to replace Chobi Sweetnam. And the Luxembourg fullback Barras is replaced in the back line. So, fresh legs for both sides. And as I keep saying, Luxembourg will want to be dynamic here. They want to be quick in these remaining 32, 33 minutes of the game. 22, 23 minutes of the game, sorry. Luxembourg play it out through their number 8 and number 9. And managed to keep possession of the ball. It's not the cleanest. Luxembourg kick through into touch. Sweden trying to charge the ball down. It will be Swedish possession here. And Sweden will try to puncture through the Luxembourg defence within their own half. And here, the Sweden scrum half kicks the ball high into the Luxembourg sky once again. Gathered by Fintan Lawler, the Luxembourg number 10. The scrum is contained. The Luxembourg fly half, scrum half will repay the favour and kick the ball high. And then it's kicked deep down the line into the Sweden 22. A little bit of a collision between the Luxembourg chaser there with the Swedish ball gatherer, but Sweden carry the ball out of their own 22. And Sweden have overlaps here. They have players advantage and they break. They have 2 players to the left if they play it left. And Luxembourg will have to close down here. And it's a wrap tackle by the Luxembourg right wing. And he gathers the ball. And this is surely a penalty for Luxembourg. And that's jubilant again. That was a certain try by Sweden. Sweden had 2 players to pass the ball out to. There was 1 defender home. He didn't drift across to the second player. He did what he had to do. He stuck with the ball carrier. The ball carrier of Sweden should have offloaded. He decided to go into contact. That was the wrong decision. And the Luxembourg right winger just tackled the player, stood up, jackaled over, locked the ball up, won the penalty. And this will give more hope to Luxembourg that Sweden are not taking the opportunities when they have overlaps like that. And as we enter now the final 20 minutes of the game, Sweden with an 11-point advantage. Luxembourg 13, Sweden 24. The Luxembourg Number 8, Tony Drennan, receiving treatment on the pitch. Sweden choosing to replace another player. This is the moment, another player getting treatment for some cramped up muscles on the Sweden side. And Luxembourg chatting in their own 22. So, inside the 22 of Luxembourg. Luxembourg will kick to touch from the penalty. Ball is gathered in the crowd. Luxembourg will have a line out, midway between their 22 and the halfway line. Sweden will look to steal. They say look eager at the line out, but Luxembourg gather the ball. They play it into their midfield. Callum Trees, debutant boy for Luxembourg here, playing at outside centre, gathers the ball, maintains possession. Luxembourg kick deep. It's gathered by Sweden forwards. The foot seemed to be into touch there. Line judge deems it not to have been. And from the resulting ruck, Sweden do well to maintain possession of that ball. But Luxembourg defends up quick. They want to keep Sweden there, but Sweden now, this is where the overlap exists. And once again, they're reluctant to use the overlap. It seems a fairly clear and obvious tactic, because they are getting men out wide, but as happened on numerous occasions here, the Swedish ball carriers are just going into contact rather than offloading. I don't think Luxembourg would do the same were they in the same position. Well, currently they're not. Luxembourg are on the defensive. Sweden are pushing into the 22 of Luxembourg. Keeping solid heads about them, Sweden. They obviously know where they want to play. They're happy with the ball in hand. They're happy going into contact and looking to break the tackle. And indeed, the outside centre of Sweden nips through, spots the gap, and he's over the line. And Sweden, just calm and collected, walk back towards their own half as if it was business as usual. Luxembourg, time to regather under the posts as Sweden attempt the conversion kick. So as I say, Luxembourg, they came out with a lot of energy in the second half. They showed themselves, they put points on the board. But with 14 men, it was inevitable that there was going to be tiredness, physical tiredness, mental tiredness. And as Sweden convert the try and extend their lead, we look up the scoreboard and we see Luxembourg 13, Sweden 31. Luxembourg will look to be buoyant now. There will be tired feet, but they need to push. They need to be courageous. They need to take a risk here because the next score is so important for them. Into the Luxembourg half. Kicked high by the Luxembourg fly half. He chases the ball down and takes the Swedish player who gathered the ball in the air, but the advantage is played, and now we see Sweden taking advantage. They run through unopposed. not much in the way of tackles coming from Luxembourg. And finally, having come out of the second half buoyant, the Luxembourg appear to put hands on heads. The game is very much running away from them now, and it's difficult to see how they can turn this around. There's just over 15 minutes left in the game. It would appear that they are simply playing for pride. Sweden, on the other hand, once again, they just look calm and collected. They're not trying to do anything fancy. They just seem to be doing what they do best, and that's put points on the scoreboard. So despite not using the overlaps when they've been in the position, they have found the gaps through midfield that they've managed to run through. So, changes for Luxembourg at loose head and tight head prop. And a third change, maybe at the next break in play, which I would expect to be a second row replacement for Luxembourg. Luxembourg with possession inside Sweden half. Probing. They will need to be inventive here. Dynamic. This is inventive by Fintan Lola, who chases the ball. He tries to gather. He doesn't manage to get his hands on the ball. The referee is not signaling anything. Luxembourg are in the Swedish 22, but Sweden have possession. They have a small overlap here, which they could use if they want. He's not using at the moment. And then he does on the inside. The overlap was on the outside. He used it on the inside. Seemed to be a little bit of a knock-on. And this time, Luxembourg managed to defend the overlap. The referee just getting in the way a little bit there. And Sweden looking to put more points on the board, but they seem to be getting locked up at the ruck. But now, this is where Luxembourg must get out wide. There are two players waiting for the ball carrier, but the ball carrier doesn't need the two wide players. Sweden are actually better at finding the gap centrally than using the man out wide. And as tiredness creeps more and more into these players, and the substitutions will disrupt the game somewhat, Luxembourg look to bring on another forward player and another player in the back line. But these new players will be playing just for pride of the Red Lion and the jersey that they are playing in tonight. Because the score is running away as Sweden look to add 2 points to the scoreboard. The touch judges signal a successful conversion, and Sweden move up to 45 points compared to Luxembourg's 13. So, Luxembourg scrum half was arguably one of Luxembourg's best players this evening. Exit the pitch, and Yared Katima, wearing number 23, enters the back line for Luxembourg. High ball by Sweden into the air. Luxembourg gather, look to play it out. They look to be locked up in the ruck, but the ball is freed. Played out by Fintan Lawler. I'm unsure if he's switched to the scrum half position from his usual fly half. It would appear that that's the case following that box kick. And a mistake by Sweden inside their own half. With 69 minutes played of this game, a little under 11 minutes left for Luxembourg to gain back a little bit of pride, to give themselves something to work on for the next game coming up against Poland here at the Stade de Luxembourg next weekend. The Luxembourg line out taken. Luxembourg play the ball into midfield. They gather fresh feet, fresh legs into contact in midfield. A little bit of inventiveness. Is he going for a 50-22? No, it's not. There's somebody home on the right wing for Sweden. Sweden have possession. Playing a little bit of a juggling act here. It will be a box kick once again by the Sweden scrum half. Two Luxembourg players back home, but it doesn't reach them. It will be a chase, a foot race here, which Sweden win. And they manage to offload, breaking into the Luxembourg 22. And they still have possession. It's not the cleanest, but the ball's not going to hands for Sweden. They're running back. Luxembourg just hold on, but Sweden go over for yet another try. Frustration in the Luxembourg ranks, and Sweden show that all during this game, nothing fancy, nothing over technical, just a steady rhythm, sticking to their game plan, playing territory, playing into the contact, which Luxembourg themselves don't want to do. And it's resulted in them racking up 50 points on the scoreboard compared to Luxembourg 13. The crowd respect the kicker, who hooks the kick wide, but he walks away with a smile knowing that his team have enough points on the board. So we're into the last 8 minutes here. Luxembourg to restart. Luxembourg crowd cheering on their team, understanding that their team were in the first half reduced to 14 men and had an uphill battle, already being underdogs. Sweden being strong team, competing in this Rugby Europe trophy with Poland and the Czech Republic for the top three. Luxembourg themselves, as I said earlier, in the mini league with Lithuania and Croatia. And it will be another tough outing for Luxembourg next weekend against Poland. But as we stand, Sweden exerting pressure, playing the ball now, breaking into the Luxembourg 22. The Luxembourg defence just starting to hold on now. It seems incessant wave after wave of attack from the restart for Luxembourg. Sweden controlling the ruck, looking to put the ball into the hands. Zero overlap now. Sweden know they will get their rewards from midfield if they find the gaps in the Luxembourg defence, which they've done on a few occasions this game. And it's something that James Kent will be eager to rectify within a space of 7 days. Sweden keep going, they're strong on their feet, they drive their feet. Luxembourg just trying to get tacklers in there, knowing that the scoreboard is against them, knowing that time is not their friend, knowing that they cannot change the outcome of this game. And all this plays mentally, of course, and it plays mentally even more as Sweden score at the base of the post to put another 5 points. Sweden 55 points on the scoreboard. Demoralising now for Luxembourg. Gathering under the post, asking themselves if they have a big 5 minutes just to give their crowd something to show for their endeavours this evening. Sweden just walking back as their scrum half prepares the kick. Inevitably, centrally as the kick was, the kick is successful. And Sweden look to reload once again. Nothing dramatic. Going about their job. Luxembourg. Give your home crowd 5 minutes. Give them a big 5 minutes. And the ball breaks towards the Sweden try line. Luxembourg bring the player down. And he has to touch down. This will be scrum Luxembourg 5 meters out from the Sweden try line. So this is the 5 minutes, the big 5 minutes that the Luxembourg crowd are asking their team to do. Scrum 5 meters. Get something back from this game. Nobody on the right wing for Luxembourg. That's where they have no interest to attack. They're not going down the narrow side. They're not going down the blind side. They're all open here. They will look to control this. Through the forwards, Tony Drennan, number 8, goes over. The referee signals that maybe the ball is held up, or maybe he did a double movement. He's claiming a double movement. Tony Drennan had the ball. He had the try line in his sight. He wanted to answer this Luxembourg crowd's pleas and cries for some points in these closing minutes, and he had the try line in his sight, but he was just tackled short, and he did a double movement. As the ball comes flying towards me there. So Sweden line out. After my cameraman here nearly had his camera equipment taken out. Sweden on the edge of their 22. With 2 minutes remaining on the clock here. Clear the ball into this Luxembourg evening sky. Fintan Lawler looking to what to do. Decides to be inventive. Deserves to carry. Pops the ball up. Yes, Luxembourg charging towards the Sweden 22 here. Possession Luxembourg. They've been beaten in this second half, Luxembourg.
Come on, boys!
Sweden have put tries past them. They've put points on the board. But this Luxembourg team are eager to show what they're about, to show that they're a team that deserves to be in this division of the Rugby Europe trophy. They're not just here to make up the numbers. They want to show what they're all about. Luxembourg probing left to right. Eddie Greybrook takes the ball to ground. Luxembourg maintain possession of the ball, pushing towards the Sweden try line. This would be the finish that Luxembourg wanted. It's not going to be the result they want by any means. It's not going to be the evening that they wanted. Things have gone against them. Red card.
Yes, boys!
But they play it out to the right wing. Luxembourg still have possession. We're into the last 30 seconds of this game.
Keep it in.
Luxembourg hungry for points. The referee making sure that the Swedish defence is honest and onside. A little bit of a wry pass, tried to be clever. But Luxembourg maintain possession. They go into contact. But it's a lot of hard work. But it's the last few seconds of this game of hard work. And Luxembourg won't mind to do that. Sweden playing their part, preventing Luxembourg from getting the points that they are truly hungry for. And Luxembourg do get their points. They do get the points that they were looking for in that last 5 minutes. This has been a game that was taken away by the underdogs early on by a red card. Sweden played their part. They didn't go overboard. They didn't try anything fancy. Luxembourg suffered from some errors. They competed. They were hit heavy. They came out second half. They put a try on the board. Sweden then took control as the legs tired. But Luxembourg have given this crowd something to cheer about. And this is what rugby's all about. You fight until the end. You don't give up. And this is exactly what Fintan Lawler will want here. He knows time is up. He knows Sweden have 57 points, Luxembourg 18, but he wants to make it Luxembourg 20. Silence, hush for the kicker. And he just slices slightly wide. An intriguing game. A very intriguing game. Sweden, solid, showing why they are competitive against Poland and the Czech Republic in this division. Luxembourg, always the underdog and relishing that. Trying to play their game, but ultimately suffering from the red card. But they'll be back for more. Poland next week will be another physical challenge. And they'll have to stick to their gameplay. They'll have to tweak around the edges. They can't change things big style. They have to maintain. And they showed at the end that the Red Lion spirit is there. And Luxembourg want to stay in this Rugby Europe trophy.
camera. It's camera. À la base, dans le placard d'un des joueurs CSE contre un petit gamin j'ai la scène d'un 6 coups de feu. C'est pas bien. L'arbitre vient au truc, t'as deux parents qui rentrent sur le terrain et qui commencent à enlever l'arbitre, enlever les comptes, à insulter tout le monde. Oui, il y a problème. Exactement, ouais. C'est exactement ça. Bon, bah pour nous, tu peux nous ça.